Hi, I'm Becca, and this is my husband, Gabe.
That's me.
Welcome to the podcast celebrating Jack Russell Terrier dogs.
And all the joys of companionship with canines of every kind.
Each episode will explore all the heartfelt, humbling, and hilarious stories that only dog parents can truly relate to. We're Jack Russell parents. Welcome to our show today. We've got lots to share with you. Hey, Gabe, let me ask you a question. What's in a name?
A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, according to Shakespeare.
How about that joke about the walking the dog for 5 miles?
It's like Shakespeare quotes don't work on you, huh?
No.
Oh, yes. So I decided to rename Carson 5 Miles so I can tell people that I walk 5 miles every day.
How's that working out for you?
Not good. I'm still pretty chunky.
Well, maybe if you keep saying it, we'll eventually get to 5 miles a day. Well, on that note, since we're not quite sure what's in a name, let's go to the experts. From Psychology Today's Canine Corner, we have an incredible article called The Art and Science of Naming a Dog by Stanley Coren, Dr. Stanley Coren, who's a PhD. And he says that when humans hear the names, right, Lassie, Rover, Fido, they immediately know that we're talking about a dog. And for dogs themselves, their name is perhaps the single most important word that they will ever learn. So we can think of it this way. A dog lives in a sea of human sounds and with only the language ability of a human 2-year-old. So they have to decide which words are directed at them and which are not.
Yeah, every time I say Carson's name, he's like immediately perks up or those random phrases that he really enjoys, like treat or dog park or anything that sounds like that. And then all of a sudden he's a part of the conversation.
Exactly. And so he says that, if you say to another family member, why don't you come here and sit down beside me? How does the dog know whether the word come, sit, and down, which are the words that they recognize, were meant as a command for them or a command for somebody else, right? So this is really cool. He says, obviously, if you were looking directly at your dog's eyes and you had his full attention and you said sit or down, they would know that that command is directed at them. However, in the absence of that body language, right, those body language indicators that you're talking to them, the dog's name becomes the key to his understanding. So in effect, a dog's name becomes a signal, which tells them that the next sounds that come out of your mouth are for them, that it will impact their life somehow.
I feel like Carson has gone a little bit beyond that into where, of course, he recognizes his own name, but I feel like he recognizes our tone. When we're trying to get one over on him, we're trying to conspire to give him some medicine or like sneak out of the house without him. So he's all attention.
Well, absolutely. He's a little bit of a smarty pants like that. Dr. Coren also says that given the significance of a dog's name, this puts an obligation on us to be precise when we're talking to our dog. So each time we want him to do something, we should start off with his name. That means like Rover sit is what he would call proper dog talk. Whereas on the other hand, if you said sit Rover, that's not good grammar for a dog, since the command that you want the dog to respond to will have disappeared into the void, right? So he says that means that when you say sit Rover, since nothing meaningful follows his name, you may well end up with the dog simply staring up at you. With that look that we've all seen before, the like, okay, well, now that you have my attention, what do you want?
Okay.
So this is fascinating to me because I haven't thought this through like this, and this may very well be a source of some of our contention.
Frustrations.
Yes.
Frustration. Well, yeah, we should definitely try that. I'll be happy to give that a shot. But whenever you tell him to do something, he like smells the air and he glances at your hands for like, well, where's the cookie I'm supposed to get for doing whatever you're asking me?
Well, there's that. Possibly also our fault. Too many treats, too much rewarding with treats. Another thing Dr. Corin says is that all of his dogs actually have 3 names. So for him, his dogs apparently are purebreds. So he has their first official name, which is the name that they're registered with at like their kennel club or that appears on the pedigree certificate. Now, I know a lot of us do not have purebreds, or we have mixes or rescues and we don't even know what they are. So we don't have the fancy name. But he mentioned some of these names that they're hard to pronounce. And he also used this phrase, they're usually marvelously pompous. I agree.
I would have never guessed.
Right. Or something really silly like he wrote Solar Optics from Creekwood. Like that's the name of the dog on the pedigree certificate.
What?
Yeah. It's like more like a name from where they came from than for the individual dog. But then he says his dogs have a second name, and this is what he calls their call name. So after all, you really don't want to be standing out in your backyard yelling, right? Something like Solar Optics from Creekwood, come here. Come, right? You don't want to be yelling those in your backyard. So you give them a call name. So for his dogs, the names are things like Wiz, Flint, or Odin. Cute. Those are all very cute names. And he's found that over the years that 2-syllable names seem to roll off the tongue more easily. And thus, his dog Wiz is actually called Whizzer most of the time.
Because he whizzes by, or
he
whizzes
potties.
on?
I don't know. It's a good question. And then I thought this was very interesting. He said all of his dogs also have a third name, and that's a group name because he has multiple, obviously. So, which for him is Puppy. So if he says, puppies come, then he expects them all to come, not just one, which I thought was really interesting. So this might be, for those of you with multiple dogs, this might be something you want to implement and teach them. He came up with a couple of things, like you might say, gentlemen, come, or troops, come. I thought those were pretty funny. You can be yelling that out in your backyard.
Lords and ladies.
Come, yes. And the last thing I'll mention that from his article that I thought was super cute is that really any sound that is consistently used with a dog can come to be its name. At least for a while, unless you want to change it. So he told a story, and I'm just going to paraphrase. He told a story about a friend of his who had a Siberian Husky named Polar, and he thought, this dog doesn't even know his name. I don't know why he doesn't know his name. And after spending some time with them, Dr. Corin wanted to test his theory of what he thought was going on. And so he took the dog out into the backyard, and his friend came to the door and yelled, "No!" And the dog immediately perked up and went to him. So the dog thought his name was No, because that's the word he'd heard the most. So be careful. If you're getting a puppy, often the word No comes out of our mouth so much. So consider using their name more often. With that, let's go ahead and take a short commercial break. Aloha Mama Apparel wants to spread the spirit of aloha. Genesis Belote, the creator of Aloha Mama Apparel, was born on the mainland and resides in Southern California, but she cherishes her Hawaiian culture and honors the half of her family that lives on the islands. She loves being a mama and a designer. At Aloha Mama, they know being a mama is hard work, but it's the best work. That's why they style mamas and kiddos in apparel that is bright and filled with beachy vibes. For the cutest casual attire celebrating the spirit of aloha, go to shopalohamama.com. That's shop, ALOHAMAMA.com. shopalohamama.com. Gabe, why don't you share how we named our fur baby?
His name is Carson, which is short for Sir Carson, the Duke of Itchingham, but we'll get into the specifics of his full name another time.
He does have itchy hands.
Okay, that's basically the point. So at the time we got him, we were enthralled with the BBC show Downton Abbey. It's a period drama set at an English estate during the turn of the 20th century. And one of the characters, amazing show, by the way. Love
Obsessed.
it. One of the characters on the show is named Charlie Carson. He's the butler. He's technically a servant, so they only call him by his last name, Carson. And so we named our pup Carson because we were living under this delusion that we could get a Jack Russell Terrier and that he would be the subservient, obedient type. We'd be the royalty of this little castle of ours, and he'd obey our every whim. And reality, it turns out, is pretty much the opposite of that ridiculous expectation.
Right. If I may add, there is another character on that show called Thomas Barrow, who is particularly manipulative and mischievous. Perhaps that would have been a better name.
He just turned 6.
Yes.
It's a little too late to change his name now, but here I'm gonna pull up some of these quotes from Carson, some of his most famous quotes, and you can tell me whether or not they still kind of speak to Carson's character, even though he doesn't really do what we say a lot of the time. Maybe just the overall aura. Maybe we got that right.
Yeah, let's see.
So, all right, this one is: "You cry, milady. You have a good cry. That's what's needed now. And when you're ready, you can get to work because you are strong enough. You are strong enough for the task."
That's why he lays next to my legs and snuggles. That's what it makes me think of.
When I hear that quote, it's all, you can go ahead and cry, but you're going to fix me my breakfast. You're strong enough to fix my breakfast.
Stop it.
So, but yeah, it was meant, it's a good, like really
good moment.
Emotional moment where he's being very supportive. So for you, it applies. All right. Oh, I like this one. So, if you're asking whether I'll regret leaving Downton, I want to regret it every minute of every day. I thought I would die here and haunt it ever after.
Oh, that's so Carson or Jack Russell. He's very loyal.
He's very loyal, yeah. And he haunts this place. When we drop him off at the vet or the dog resort, it's like it feels so empty here. It feels like his spirit is haunting the place.
I'm always looking for him, even if he's not here for some reason.
Yeah. Here, this speaks to his loyalty too. You can take as long as you like. I won't press you because one thing I do know, I'm not marrying anyone else.
Oh, I'm sure you feel that way about me too, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
please. Sorry, that came out way wrong. Of course I feel that way. I love you. So this quote, he's talking to Mrs. Hughes. She's the housekeeper, basically number 2 in charge of the servants of the house. She says, "You have a very poor opinion of your fellow man." And his response is, "I have the opinion life has taught me."
Oh, that's pretty intense.
This is probably his most famous one. It says, "The business of life is the acquisition of memories. In the end, that's all there is."
Aww.
Isn't that lovely?
It is. And I think it plays in really well to Carson, our pup, because he has created so many memories.
And he likes creating memories. He wants to do things with us.
That's true.
He wants our full attention and he wants to experience life with us. He's one of those breeds, one of those dogs that, if you change rooms, he's going to go there with you and see what's up. And he does not like being left out of memories. He hates it.
Mm-hmm. He also remembers very clearly where that pizza crust was on the walk the day before. Yes. And on the second day, you forget about it, but he remembers and he gets it.
Yeah, he acquires memories of things he shouldn't, and he manipulates us thereafter.
So that's just some of the background or the reasons about why we named our Jack Russell Carson. JRTs are typically considered to be tiny or small dogs in stature, but certainly not in personality or spirit. After Googling small dog names, I've picked my top 10 fun, tiny dog names to share with you. Are you ready to let me know what you think of this list?
Sure.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm excited.
All right. Number 1, Biscuit.
I love it.
Number 2, Pico.
As in Pico de Gallo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spicy. Yeah. That would work.
And number 3, Peach or Peachy.
I love it.
Number 4 is Pickle. We actually knew someone who would play in the park with Carson, a little white fluffy dog that was named Pickle. I remember Pickle. Number 5 is Peanut. There seems to be a theme here. These are all food. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of food.
I think we're just hungry right now.
Maybe we should take a break after this list.
Picked all food names.
Okay, the next 4 aren't food. Okay, number 6 is Ladybug, because that's just adorable. And the next 3 are along the lines of, when you have an itty bitty dog, you give him a big name, right? Like Hercules or Digger, which is quite appropriate for Jack Russells because they often dig. And then Hagrid. I thought that was so cute, from Harry Potter, because he's huge. And that's it. That's my list.
I think it's fantastic. I think we should get 10 more dogs, 1 for each of those names.
Oh my gosh. If you could see my face right now, people. Lastly today, we asked other Jack Russell owners, what did you name your dog and why? And we got some pretty cool answers. Up first is Francis M. We named our dog Alan. It has caused many a laugh with other dog owners.
I love when dogs are named a person's name and it doesn't quite sound like a dog's name, something like a child would do. It makes me laugh every time. Bruce L. says he named his dog after an attitude, Moxie, which means energy, courage, determination, and know-how, which is perfect for a Jack Russell.
Absolutely. Tony T. says she named her dog Lucy after Lucy Ricardo from I Love Lucy because she is always making a mess. I love the I Love Lucy show, and I recently started rewatching it again.
Binging is the correct word.
Anyway, yes, perhaps. And truly, Lucy makes a mess of everything. It's so funny.
Cheryl G says she named their dog after their favorite food, sushi. My brother is a chef and he names all his many, many animals, various items of food. And it's just always cute.
See, I'm not the only one who leans towards the food category.
Yes.
Maria M says, I named my girl after my fave Batman female villain, Harley Quinn. She is nutty and unpredictable.
That's perfect for a Jack. All right. Alan W says Leia, Star Wars fan, obviously.
Yep. Donna M says, all our dogs are named after food. Oh, there's another one. All our dogs are named after food. This is queso.
I love it.
Some of these people, they included pictures. Go to our social media, and you can see all these.
Joanne W says Bailey. It's after a footballer, actually, for us Americans, a soccer player named Gareth Bale.
And then Monty M says he named his 2 pups Poncho and Lefty after a Willie Nelson song.
I'm sorry. You grew up more country than I did, so you might know that reference. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to talk about it. We're moving on.
Jane H just simply replies Buzz and then includes a picture of her Jack and then Buzz Lightyear side by side. They look nothing alike, but I'm sure the attitude is there.
Yes. They have that same approach of, they want to save the world.
And they're in charge from moment one. Yeah, that's about right. That's a great name.
June P says that she named her Jack because of her surname, Potts. And she says it always makes folks smile if you're at the vets and they shout, jackpots.
That's fantastic.
Super cute.
And lastly, we have Carol C. and Jeff W. naming their 2 Jacks each after famous pairs. We have Ben and Jerry after the ice cream and Barney and Betty from the Flintstones.
Thank you for sharing your dogs and their names with us. This is my favorite part of starting this podcast, getting to connect with other dog lovers and hearing your heartfelt stories. Thank you for listening. Until next time, this is Becca and Gabe, the Jack Russell parents.
Say bye, Carson.
We'd love to connect with you online at jackrussellparents.com or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at JRT Podcasts. That's at JRT for Jack Russell Terrier Podcast.
The Jack Russell Parents Podcast is produced by Earball Audio.
Jack Russell Parents is brought to you in part by Super Chewer. From the makers of BarkBox, Super Chewer is a themed monthly delivery of toys and treats made especially for dogs who play harder and demand a challenge. Simply go to jackrussellparents.com and click the Super Chewer link to enjoy their great offers while also supporting our podcast.